So, good.
Winecast.
Welcome everyone to the Winecast.
What's up? We got some new stuff today. We're excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I just went down to Tower Grove Park, walked around for a while, and I ran into a new wine shop that I hadn't seen before, and I was kind of excited. They had a bunch of bottles and wine in the window. Kind of like, I don't know, it seems like the pandemic style, just sell your wine out of the window and through the side of your store. So yeah, I picked something that looked cool. Ended up being a pet nat from Italy. So let's get into it.
Yeah. So, and then we didn't really know what pet nat was. It's kind of a big trend right now. A lot of people are drinking it. It's definitely not a new way of making wine, but
It's like
is
the oldest.
It's probably the old. Yeah, it's definitely the oldest way of making sparkling wine because it's the most intuitive way of making sparkling wine. So
yeah, it's just kind of like
I think it's got a cap on it over there too.
yeah, it's like like if you're making wine back when they
And
were
it makes bubbles.
making wine, like they weren't like putting it in all these separate containers and like moving it from here to there. It's like just put it in the bottle.
Yeah, for sure. Or whatever they had.
Yeah. Like, oh, this one is bubbly. That's kind of what happens, basically.
Ooh, it's fizzing.
Yeah. It's like a...
So you want to explain how they make it?
Sure. So, a pet nat, forgive me if I butcher this, but it's like Petella Naturale in French, which basically means natural bubbles, I think. And the way they do that is like during the making, there's something called fermentation that happens in all alcohol making, which is where the yeast eats the sugar, turns into alcohol, and when yeast eats sugar in any process, like bread making, any time yeast is eating sugar, it has to have a byproduct, which is CO2, and that CO2 in most cases is just kind of like discarded, like in bread making. I guess in bread making, that's what makes the air, and what makes bread rise.
The fluffiness of the bread is determined by.
But in winemaking, it just kind of leaves the vessel that you're normally fermenting it in, via airlock, right?
Well, even like so I know intentionally a lot of times, and I don't know if this has a vintage on it or not.
I think it's 17 maybe. Does it not say? I thought I saw 17.
Either way, so I mean, normally you're trying to degas the wine before you bottle it. For like regular red wine and white wine, and then even champagne, because what they usually do for consistency with traditional champagne is they mix a lot of different vintages together. So that's
for
completely degassed, and then they have to go. What they sometimes do with champagne is they'll just pump
Straight
gas
put
into
it
it.
in.
Yeah, which is like you can kind of tell because that's bad champagne. It's like big bubbles. You know. But then a lot of the times what they do is they cap it like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they store them at a 45-degree angle down, like with the neck facing down, and they turn it every 5 days or something until all the sediment is down there at the bottom. Open it really quick and or they freeze the end of it and pop the top off. The sediment comes out in this like ice cube connected to this, and then they put a cork in it really quick and like do that little tie thing on it. So that's like, but it's back sweetened.
They can also
to do that.
What?
It's back sweetened to do that, so it's like they add like secondary yeast and sugar.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You gotta add, if you've already fermented once and that gas is left in the wine that you already made, you have to add back sugars and yeast again in order to make more bubbles that you intend on keeping.
Yes, yeah. So this is just first time.
Yeah, this is like, that's the Pétillant natural. It's like, first go, you just put it all in one thing, let it do it once, one run. It's all done in this bottle. Alcohol's made in here, and bubbles are made in here, and it's lived and died in here.
Right. Well, not all the alcohol. It would explode if all of it. But yeah,
sure.
So they're doing it like middle of fermentation or something. They would have to be.
I can actually.
You want to pour some?
Yeah.
Cool.
Got a nice little
Apollo. Why don't you go way over there, dude? Go.
Yeah.
Fine.
Marker drying, whatever this is.
Sorry.
And it's called. It's from Mirko Marietti Set Amez is the wine. It's from Italy. It does have sulfites. 12.5 alcohol. Yeah.
I thought it said micro. like a small batch place or something.
I mean, this looks like some like sour beers that I've drank.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's a rosé too. I mean, yeah, a pet nat can be any type of wine as far as I know. It can be a red, a white. This is both. Fat pour. I love the color. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's very cloudy.
Yeah.
It looks like juice, like.
Oh yeah, definitely. Juicy, like grapefruity.
Mm-hmm. It looks like grapefruit juice.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It is kind of. It's kind of grapefruity.
Yeah.
Like that, like bittery, like tart, orangey kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Super light.
I need to like rinse around in my mouth more. I'm not doing it very good.
I like it. Very summery wine.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Grab a bottle of this, go to the park.
It's kind of rindy. Like it kind of tastes like a orange rind.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of like bitter, like yeah. If you get.
Yeah, I don't know if that's bitter. Or, yeah, I guess that's bitter.
Yeah, if you get too much pith, it's like that. That weight.
It's not like it doesn't make your mouth dry, which I hear is like a tannin thing. So it's not super tannin.
Yeah.
Tannic.
No. It's not that.
I guess that's more red wine.
Yeah. No, this is like the opposite.
This is
like
just easy drinking.
Juices up your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sangria, but minus all the BS. Like.
Oh yeah. 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 It kind of tastes like it could have like a bunch of fruits in it.
Yeah. But not sweet.
No. Not sweet. And it's not really like berry either. Like we said, it's like orange, grapefruit.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't really get much like berry.
No. And I looked up a little bit what kind of grape it's from. It's from the Fortana grape, which is apparently a native grape from the region of Emilia Romagna.
Romagna?
Romagna.
Romagna?
Romagna. Okay.
I mean,
the
I'm
G
not
is
familiar, but that's kind of how you
Emilia
say it.
Romagna. Bologna is in Emilia Romagna, just to kind of give. It's like in the northern. I don't know, I guess that'd be like northeast part of Italy. Yeah, it's a local grape to there. It's usually only used as an added grape in a lot of different red blends from the area. So it's kind of
really
yeah. It's used, so they'll like use it. they'll use it to like balance out like like something that's too round or something, you know, like a big red wine that's like just a little flabby. Basically, you know, you get that what a pucker kind of thing, you know,
from
like,
this.
Yeah,
they added to that to
they added to that. Yeah,
a little bit of
the little the little like mouth watery.
Yeah. That makes sense because that's what this
it's
does.
Big mouth water for sure.
Yeah,
which is good summer.
I'm salivating.
Salivating too.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it's nice
good.
though. I mean, we're drinking it inside, but I definitely wish it was like 75, sun setting on Art Hill in St. Louis here.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a nice day. We could be outside, but you know, we tried to get a nice setup going here. So what else? That's about all I have. I wish we could say more about the guy who made it. They don't have a lot of information online.
Does it? Mirko Marietti. Do you get? I mean, you get anything?
Yeah, he seems to be the winemaker.
Right, and you don't see anything from him?
No website. There's like a short blog about him that I'm looking at here. That's
Mirko. If you're out
Mirko, we would talk to you. We would love to talk to you.
We like your wine.
We could probably hit him up.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's near the beach. He's living near the beach. This blogger says he's eating flatbreads and
I'm sure he is.
Spaghetti. Sounds like Italy. Playing card games.
I mean, he's a winemaker in Italy.
Okay, yeah, so they're non-grafted grapes. That's interesting. And it kind of seems like this guy is into highlighting like underappreciated local grapes. So which I'm all about.
That makes sense.
I think
how
that's
you
kind of
described what this grape is. Like it usually goes into a blend. Putting it on its own is kind of like, I feel like that's a risk that a lot of winemakers are trying to take these days. It's like what grapes can make something interesting that people haven't tried before.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of like the way there's like the kind of wine my grandpa liked to drink, and it's like Cabernet. You know what I mean? Just like big hitters, like thick oaky wines, which are good, you know, when they're done well. So like no hate there, but it's like every grape can't fit into that, and so then people just said like, okay, these are bad grapes, basically. Right? Yeah. Or maybe they're good 5% of this in a wine. You know, if someone's like doing some real lab, you know, mad scientist stuff to make a wine. But if you're just gonna take this and make a wine out of it exclusively, you kind of have to play a little more to its strengths. You know, which like this is a good way to take something. Right.
Make it fizzy and just kind of make it real summery.
So
make it an outside drinking summer wine. Grapefruity.
Oh yeah, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's nice.
I really like it.
Yeah, definitely would recommend. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Here's the label. I don't know if that's close enough to see.
Alright, so you guys heard about this. How about let's get an update on your stuff.
On my wine?
Yeah.
Same old.
Or how about let's get a recap, because I don't think we've talked about that. So let's just get a full Chamberson backstory really quick.
Yeah. So
let people in.
Like why I started.
Yeah, wherever you want to start.
So yeah, I started making wine in 2017 in Missouri. Basically, I don't really know why 100%. I've like always been into wine. I did a school project on it super young, like made a documentary about Missouri wineries in like 8th grade. And before that I bought this book at Barnes & Noble just because I liked the look of it. And it was like how to taste wine. And it was like It's like, why am I 12? Like, why am I doing this at 12? Like, which is just hilarious. I don't know what the cashier. I'm just like find this.
I mean,
alcohol book.
We buy things because we like the cover, and we still do that. So
yeah, for sure. So not much has changed in that respect, but yeah. And then in 2017, I basically just got into winemaking. Bought a couple books, read them, kind of got really infatuated with like the idea of winemaking as like an art, but also very, very much like gardening and or like cooking or something, you know. So like mostly crafts with a little bit of your own flair on it. You get to make a limited amount of decisions, which is cool. And
that's what those limited decisions, even in like simple dish cooking, it's like those are the things that really make things stand out, especially in winemaking, because if you're doing it a certain way, there aren't many decisions to make. So
right, yeah, I mean, you get to pick like, so I guess when I started getting into it, that's kind of an interesting thing, is like your first decision is, do you go and buy a kit, right?
Yeah.
Which a lot of people do, and a lot of people recommended that I did that, or to order juice or frozen grapes from Napa or from somewhere in California, because people assume that grapes from a good region, right, and noble grapes like old world grape varieties are gonna give you a better shot of making good wine, which is wrong, because any grapes that a winery is crushing or freezing and shipping across the country to you over the internet is stuff that they would never put in their wine. And that's just a fact. Like that's just a fact. Like the grapes are too valuable to, being produced as Napa grapes or where California grapes.
Yeah, why would they give them to some Missouri?
They wouldn't mail. Yeah, they don't send them. So, not the good ones. They send really bad grapes, which means you have to basically become like a chemist to balance out pH, to balance out acidity, all this other stuff, just to make like not even a drinkable wine, like a food safe wine, like something that's like not gonna kill you. So like, like there's literally like acidity levels that you have to have, or it's like gonna create some scary stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And fresh good grapes are not gonna do that. So luckily I read some good books early on that were like, you're better off making wine out of blackberries you pick in your backyard than buying.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that back in the day, but I didn't realize like
that's kind of why.
Scope of that.
It's just all fresh. You just gotta have. If you think about it, you're not cooking anything. You're literally just crushing it up, putting some yeast in,
right,
and then nothing happens to it until you drink it. Like, it's not getting rinsed off. It's not getting like.
I mean, if you don't have all the right things, like, who's to say it doesn't just mold and grow bacteria and.
Exactly. Yeah, and like you don't want it. It's really important it doesn't start fermenting early. So like, if before they froze it, it sat in the sun for 4 hours, that's really bad. So, yeah, and then I made wine, and it turned out really good. I thought it was going to be really bad, and it actually turned out very drinkable.
First year was good.
Yeah, I think everybody who was like my dad and stuff were really surprised that it was drinkable, because he had tried to make beer in the past and it was just like.
I feel like everybody's had a friend who's like, or like friends of my family growing up, they made wine, and I just remember I was probably too young, but it was like everyone was just like, oh my god, dude, like why are people trying to make wine?
Right, they're like, oh, you can't do it, it's way too hard. Yeah, it's way too hard.
That's kind of just been the thing forever, like is like you just can't make wine in your home, and maybe that's because of what you just described, where like people are just buying like this gnarly juice or gnarly frozen grapes, and
or kit, a kit is concentrate, like it's literally like you rehydrate it.
It's It's making juice out of or making wine out of Welch's.
Like making wine out of like powdered Gatorade.
Yeah.
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 So, and everybody's like had somebody bring over like a bottle of like, oh, I made this wine, give it a try, and it's like unbearable. So,
yeah.
So I did better than that, but it had everything to do with the fruit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. And then it's 2020 now.
Well, how about year 2? So year 1 was like, I think year 1 was like, it's like, that was the lighter one. It was like,
that was the heaviest one.
Oh, that was the heaviest one.
Yeah.
And it was like pretty earthy.
Yeah.
It was like
very twiggy.
Yeah, it tastes like,
Tastes
like not
steaks.
in a bad way. It was like, it was earthy, sticky, muddy, kind of that kind
which
of
is tannins apparently.
Yeah.
So what I did with the first one that made it do that, and I might go back to doing some of it this way, is I left all the stems in.
Yeah, that's probably why it tastes
while
like
it was fermenting, right? I mean, not all of them. I pulled them out with my hands, but a lot of them stayed in.
Yeah.
And then I crushed. I did the initial crush ferment, and then 2 weeks later I pressed the grapes to get all the juice out, which most people do with red wine, but you don't have to. And I just thought you had to, and that's where you get that like viscous, purple, like crazy purple looking liquid is like from pressing the grapes down. So I haven't done that since then.
So that was a big difference between
that was
year 1 and 2.
Difference. Yeah, this is pressing it.
We talk about it a lot. Is like the second year he made wine was like much lighter. It's changed a lot since then. We just had a bottle recently, but it's still not even really comparable to the first year, even after the change.
No.
But the second year was much lighter, more like just a summery kind of. It was like dark berry kind of blackberry kind of wine.
The first one?
No, the second one.
The second one.
Light, dark berry kind of wine.
Yeah, more. It was like the color of like Pinot Noir. It still is.
Yeah.
It's gotten like this like orange tint to it. It's like
amber.
Which I really like.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and it smells so strongly of like tawny port.
Yeah.
Which is just. I think is awesome. Like it's kind of a bummer it doesn't just taste like tawny port then when you drink it.
Yeah.
It would make a really good it makes me want to do a Chamberson port. I think that would be really good.
What is it like the not pressing it combined with it's been in the bottle for 2 years now and I don't know. Just trying to think.
It's been in the bottle for a year.
Oh,
not even a year.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I guess we bottled
6 months. August.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess we bottled that.
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
So, but it was in Carboys for a year. No. Yeah. It's basically in Carboys for a year before that, because I usually bottle it. What I usually do is like I'll leave it in the carboy up until I need the carboys for the next year.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like it's more stable in a carboy. It's good to kind of let it, and you can get it a lot less cloudy without using any finding agents or like filters, which I would never do. So yeah, and it helps cold stabilize it and heat stabilize it too and stuff by having it in my garage because it gets hot and cold in the garage, and it's better to do that in a big, like in a 5-gallon thing, to have it go way up in temperature and way down in the big thing than it is in bottles, because then you'll have bottles spoil, individual bottles. So yeah, and then
so I don't know. We're on year 3.
We're on year 3.
Bottling is
soon.
imminent.
I'm getting a pallet of bottles.
Nice.
Yeah,
How
like
many is that?
400.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mhm.
It'll be sick.
Yeah.
We had a fun time bottling last year. I don't know if I was there for the first bottle, but
yeah, first one, I don't know, maybe.
no, I don't think it was. But bottling's fun.
Yeah, bottling's fun. It's helpful. It helps to have like a couple people, because you're like rinsing bottles, filling bottles. Bottles are overflowing. Like,
if you like wine, that's kind of like the that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
Bottling day.
There's always some leftover to drink.
Like in our case, we're like siphoning it out of the carboys.
Yeah. We need to make a video of that.
Yeah, we will.
We need to make a video.
Yeah. Okay, so 3rd year of grapes, bottling's coming soon.
Yep.
And growing grapes. One last thing to talk about for Chamberson Co.
Yeah, well, so last thing I'm making wine, I think I'm going to make natural wine next year. So
nice.
We'll talk about that more, but I made no sulfite wine this year, like no additive wine, except for commercial yeast. And I thought that was natural wine, but natural wine is just crushing it with your feet and
that would be
sticking it in a bottle. So
that would be like what are they? Not organic, but there's organic, there's natural, and there's
it's like
no biodynamic.
It might be biodynamic. It's like no additive.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call it.
I think biodynamic is kind of something different.
For all the woo-woo people who think sulfites are bad for them, like my mom, when it's like literally raisins have like more than a gallon. Like a bottle of wine is like 1 raisin of sulfites or something. Or like soup. Like any soup
has more sulfites than a bottle of wine.
Yeah, they're just like not bad for you.
Yeah, I mean it's a preservative, right? So
yeah, it's like a mineral.
Yeah.
It's a mineral that microorganisms don't like very much. And I think it just okay. So
I mean, it's fine. We can talk about sulfates if you know about them.
I think they just kind of create they just bind with like particles in the wine and then like keep things from growing on that basically. But somehow like the commercial yeast you buy are immune. They've been trained up to be stronger than the sulfites.
Oh, really?
That's why so you add sulfites to kill everything else, and then you put the commercial yeast in. So that's kind of where like even me not putting sulfites in and putting the commercial yeast in, it's kind of like a battle.
They're fighting.
It's definitely gonna taste different. Like it smells different. It's gonna have a little bit of that barnyard.
Wait, what? Explain what?
So for a portion of my wine, I did no sulfites,
right?
Which basically means everything that was growing on the grapes is going to keep growing on the grapes, and then you're going to add commercial yeast. The commercial yeast is going to guarantee that the alcohol content gets up to max dryness, which doesn't always happen with natural wine. Yeah. And then the other things aren't going to die either, though. They're just like, you're just adding like one thing to this soup of microorganisms, right? And you're not killing all the other microorganisms. So it'll be the same thing but a twist. It'll definitely taste different than the majority of my wine, which I did kill all the other microorganisms before I added the commercial yeast too. So
Alright.
It's an experiment. I started keeping a wine journal, which is a good idea when you make it, to be like, this is what I did, this is what it tastes like, because you think you're going to remember and then you never remember. So
you never remember anything.
Ever. A year later.
When have you ever remembered a single thing?
I mean, yeah. Me, I meant anyone, but yeah.
I mean, maybe I was talking to you, but maybe I was also talking to myself. But
it sounded like you were calling me out.
Nah. Well, alright, we didn't talk about
my birthday.
We didn't talk about your grapes.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got 2 grape fields.
Got 2 grape fields.
Both Chamberson.
Yeah, one is in Jefferson County, Missouri. One is in Franklin County, Missouri. Yeah, I did mostly ungrafted Chamberson grapes, which is I think it was made in Missouri, but it's a French-American hybrid grape varietal, and it grows really well in Missouri, almost too well, where you have to like battle it, to keep it from overproducing. It's like insanely vigorous, and so that's fun. And then my little project grape is trying to get Cab Franc to grow in Missouri, which I know there's a place that used to do it, but I don't know how they did it, and I've been trying to get in contact with them to figure out how they kept them alive through the winter. Because they really want to be like
just petite, like
they would grow great in like southern Missouri, but they're like right on the edge of our climate. Yeah. So
it's like a little warmer, a little wetter down there year round.
Yeah, well, it doesn't frost like it does here. It's just like, it's literally 2 days a year that I like wake up and I'm like, and it's not the days it snows, because once there's snow on them, they're good. It's like when it's like this, and then it drops below like, it goes to like 28 overnight, and you're like, no.
Like we actually had a really rough week this year for that.
Yeah,
I had like a week or 2 of frost.
So we'll see. It's getting
hairy as to whether they'll hang on.
Yeah, for sure. So, but that's the project. I don't know a whole lot about grape growing, and it's harder to learn in a book than winemaking, just because it's just a lot more nuanced. So there has been a lot more stuff that I've done wrong, like that's had consequences, than in winemaking. Even stuff I did wrong, I was on the right path enough that it worked out. Where I'm learning a lot. I feel like I'm just now getting to understand, and we're ripping up like 25 vines tomorrow, and planting new Chamberson vines that are ungrafted, because we had all these Chamberson grafted onto a less vigorous rootstock, and the rootstock just popped out its own shoots underneath, and just started growing a new vine. So it said, no, we're not doing this. I'm going to be my own plant now. So those have to come out, and then. So
you preserved the original vine from that then?
I just bought new ones.
All new vines?
To replace a lot of them. 25. So it's like a quarter of them.
Wow.
Something. So
are they? How far along are those compared to what you had?
So most of mine are 3 years old right now. These will be 1 year old.
Wow. So a little setback.
Yeah, but I should get some grapes off of my older ones this year. So I'll make a little batch and just see what the soil is doing, in comparison, because one of our plot in Franklin County is major sandstone, and then in Jefferson County it's all limestone. And my preference would be toward limestone because it brings a lot more minerality to the wine, and it kind of holds water better, so you don't have to do as much irrigating. Like sandstone's like,
I mean, it's porous. It's drainage.
It's like porous, but it also like pools water and weird. Like it's really like unpredictable. Where like limestone is like all cracked and it'll like have some water, but it'll be like 7 feet down, and the grapes will have to go down through all this all this rock basically, and it's clay on top. So that I like better. Basically, but I'll be interested to see the difference, and that's why it's an experiment all the time. You're kind of like a fake scientist, basically.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, what we talked about at the beginning, all those minor decisions and sometimes things that are out of your hand, as far as if you're buying grapes, or I mean, if you're buying, you can choose where they come from, but there's all these natural factors, soil type,
well, that's like the French idea of terroir.
Flora and fauna that is present, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, French terroir. If people don't know what that is, it's basically ground, right?
Yeah,
like
that's what it means.
It's earth. Yeah, so it's like the earth that the grape is grown in, and not even like the type of soil, but like the actual plot of earth that it's grown in is documented and rated on a scale. It's like there are like committees. Honestly, to me, it's kind of anti. I mean, it's very much not the democratization of wine making, it's the opposite of that. So, in that sense, I don't think it's that great. But I do it's a really cool tradition. I think it's a really cool, part of their culture. But, and it really started out as a way for monks, to, they were doing this long-term studies of
the earth.
Yeah, and of wine, and how grapes grew, and they were, and that's how they were categorizing things. Was basically science, saying, okay, it's low on the hill, it tastes kind of like it does this. If it's middle on the hill, if it's high on the hill, okay, and then going through, and so it's literally the foundation of all of our understanding of grape growing, basically.
For sure.
So you can't hate on it too much, but
as far as contemporary winemaking, a lot of the principles that have been understood are sort of being challenged now. That's
right.
That's how you're getting these grapes, these wines.
Yeah, for sure. And people are Spain is a really good example. They have these local grapes that only grow in Spain that people have just kind of looked over. And some of them, the actual vines are hundreds of years old, in these old family plots.
Yeah.
And people are buying them, where people didn't think they were worth anything, and then making a wine with 100% that grape, and doing a really good job of showcasing the grape that no one's ever heard of. So to me, that's really cool. I think us being in Missouri, there's a lot more potential for wine makers in Missouri to do something more like that. We're never going to be California, we're never going to be France. So
classic grapes.
Right. If you're trying to make cab, like Chardonnays and cabs all day,
you just gotta
look around you and see. Yeah,
work with what you got, and
exactly.
I mean, come up with something good from that, which is exactly what you've done. And
yeah,
it's worked out so far. And I guess can't wait. Especially with the next bottle, can't wait to see how that turns out. And from there on, I think there's only good things to come with that, with those grapes and that wine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. Is anything else?
I don't know. I think that's good. I think that's kind of a good way to wrap up.
Cheers.
Talking about this.
Okay.
One more time.
Don't cheers me.
This Setamez, Mirko Marietti. Thank you. It was delicious. From Italy. We loved it.
Yeah.
That.
Cheers. Call us.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Winecast.